A journalist bought a stolen Augusta National jacket for $5 and nobody knows how it got to Canada. In 1994, a Toronto journalist was browsing a local thrift store when he spotted something that should have been impossible to find outside Augusta National Golf Club's headquarters in Georgia. An authentic green jacket. The jacket that only Augusta National members earn the right to wear. He bought it for $5. $5. At that moment, he had no idea he was holding one of golf's most sacred and guarded artifacts, something the club treats with almost religious reverence. The jacket was real. But how it traveled from Augusta to a Canadian thrift store remained a complete mystery. And that mystery would define the jacket's entire history. Here's where the psychology gets fascinating. The journalist owned that jacket for years, and never realized what he had. He thought he'd found a nice vintage golf piece. That's it. To him, it was a $5 conversation starter, maybe something to wear to a casual round. Meanwhile, he was sitting on one of the most coveted artifacts in all of sports. An Augusta National green jacket isn't just clothing. It's institutional prestige made tangible. Only Masters champions get to wear one. Only a handful exist outside the club's vault. But because the journalist didn't know its true identity, the jacket was invisible. It had no power. It generated no alarm. No one was searching for it in Toronto. That's exactly how stolen goods survive in plain sight. The moment he sold it to a colleague and it got authenticated, everything changed. Suddenly the value materialized. The price skyrocketed from $5 to six figures. But the jacket itself hadn't changed. Only the perception of it had. This is the core trick that thieves and fences rely on. If you separate a stolen item from its context, from its story, from its official identity, you strip away its value, and its danger. The object becomes invisible precisely because nobody recognizes what it actually is. By 2017, the jacket had changed hands again, and this time it was heading to auction. What happened next shocked the golf world. The green jacket sold for $139,000, a 27,800% return on that original $5 investment. But here's where the mystery deepens. Authentication wasn't straightforward. Augusta National doesn't maintain public records of every jacket ever made, and the club's obsessive secrecy actually worked against solving the theft. When experts finally confirmed the jacket's authenticity, they relied on construction details, stitching patterns, and the specific fabric used during the 1950s and 1960s. The club itself wouldn't publicly validate it. That silence is telling. Augusta National guards its traditions so fiercely that admitting a jacket had been stolen and lost for decades would damage the institution's carefully cultivated image of control and exclusivity. So the auction house did the detective work instead, piecing together provenance from the journalist's testimony and the jacket's physical markers. The higher the price climbed, the more urgent the question became: if this jacket was valuable enough for six figures, how did nobody notice it was missing? That gap between institutional secrecy and public accountability is exactly what allows major thefts to hide in plain sight for decades. Here's where the story gets genuinely unsettling. Even after the jacket sold for $139,000 in 2017, even after it became international news, Augusta National never officially confirmed how it disappeared or who took it. That silence is deliberate. The club's legendary secrecy, they don't publish membership lists, they don't explain their rules, extends to their own thefts. The leading theory involves an insider, possibly someone with legitimate access to the clubhouse or grounds. Green jackets are only awarded to Masters champions, but the club manufactures spares for events and ceremonies. An employee, a contractor, or even a low-level staff member could have lifted one during the early 1990s and sold it to a fence with no questions asked. From there, it drifted through second-hand networks until it landed in a Toronto thrift store, completely divorced from its origin. What's revealing isn't the theft itself, it's Augusta National's refusal to investigate publicly. Institutions with that level of wealth and control rarely admit vulnerability. The jacket's disappearance exposed something uncomfortable: insider theft happens at places most people assume are impenetrable. So here's what the Augusta jacket really teaches us: the most audacious heists don't end with a dramatic arrest or a confession. They end in a thrift store, gathering dust on a rack, waiting for someone to recognize what's been lost. The jacket wasn't recovered through investigation or security footage. It was found by accident, by someone who paid $5 for history. And that's the real vulnerability institutions face, not the theft itself, but the moment when stolen prestige becomes invisible.